I don't have any tooth. I'll admit it. I will brag. Those players did not just go and whip that ass for us to be like, oh, good game. No, we whipped your ass. We took $800,000. Now we're partying with it.
Yeah, who cares if you're in the Power 5 conference if you don't win it, ever? Or you don't beat any of the teams in it? Like, what's the point of that? Wouldn't you rather win the conference and say, like, hey, my team is good, than lose the conference and say, well, our conference is good?
Well, I'll tell you what, I got two teams that got me gassed up. It's going to be a hell of a battle. Be like two dogs fighting over a milk bun.
Look, they don't call me Tip for nothing. And my tip is, look out for the group of 5 this season. They've been taking it to the Power 5 year after year.
The only quarterbacks that ever get any love are from the Power 5. And I could easily list off the top group of 5 quarterbacks I would rather have than those guys. I would be willing to bet that at least one of them is going to be in the running for the Heisman this year.
Down the middle, James, the lateral to the corner of the end zone. Can you believe that?
Welcome into Group of 5 Guys Inside Drill. We've got a special show for you going into week 1 of college football season. We're going to talk a lot about, some over-unders, some player props, daily fantasy type stuff. And as you guys know, we mentioned on the last episode, we have partnered with Prize Picks. So if you are a daily fantasy guy or gal, they're doing up to a $100 match on your first-time deposit if you use our code GOFG, acronym for, of course, Group of 5 Guys. That's Prize Picks. We also have our link posted on Twitter and Instagram. Guys, before we get going, if you do like what you're seeing, make sure you hit like and subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Group of 5 Guys. I'm going to let Jeff Murphy do the intro on this guy. This is special now. Everybody that's been losing money, pay real attention for the next 20, 30 minutes.
So, yeah. Next guest we got is he's a great one of my best friends. Not only an incredible sports gambler, responsible, I should say, sports gambler, but husband, father, entrepreneur, one of the best businessmen I've come across in my time on this earth. And social media, man, is blowing up over the last year. Joffery Vanderbilt. JVandy, how are you, my friend?
I'm good. How are you guys doing tonight?
Fantastic.
Couldn't be
I'm
better.
excited about this.
Yeah.
How do y'all so have y'all how long have y'all known each other?
Gosh, it's been so I met Joffery actually shortly after I got done playing ball at middle. Old Sancho McDonald gave me a ring and was like, "Hey, you want to come play some flag football?" So I was like, "Yeah, sure. I want to get back into it. I want to get in shape." And went out there and Joff had a flag football team that had been winning championships long before I got there. But I kind of hopped on, and Joff is an interesting first meet. He's actually got a pretty funny story about when I walked out on the field.
Hey, so we're at the field, and Sancho, he tells me, he says, "Hey man, I got a guy that he used to be my quarterback at MT. He said I want to ask him to come out." I'm like, "Okay, that's fine, no big deal. Let's bring him out." And because we've been going through a situation where we couldn't find a really good quarterback, so I see this Bronco pulling up. And, he pulls in, jumps out, has the Raider hat on. And outside of the Raider hat, he has, you remember how, Alfalfa on, what was it? Little Rascals, where he had the little hair, sticking up. He had, a little, a little ponytail sticking up with his. I'm like, who in the hell is this guy right here? You would have got this hippie, who the hell are you bringing out here? And so Murph gets out there, man, and he just starts slinging it all around the yard. That's when it was crazy. And so I think that was the beginning of a really great friendship. But I think, from there, obviously, playing flag football, then we started coaching together. He asked me to coach with him at Webb while he was there. And, I coached, and we just became really good friends. And over the years, it's just grown and grown and grown. And, hopefully now we can take it to another level and, win everybody some money.
That's right. It's become I always liked to gamble before, but been kind of my gambling mentor, so to speak. So it's got a lot of knowledge if you guys are interested in this responsible sports gambling thing we got going.
Well, so how'd you get started? I mean, were you always betting or playing? I mean, I know everybody's been playing, NFL fantasy football forever, but
Yep.
were you always doing player props and betting, or what? When did it start?
I've always played, like you said, fantasy football. Never really got into actual sports betting until I guess I would say about 4 or 5 years ago. I was introduced to it. Yeah, let's just leave it at that. I was introduced to it then. And, so I started doing sports betting, and obviously they offered a lot of props, picking props and so forth on. So I just kind of, early on, I was, for lack of words, I was stupid. I wanted to do the sexy parlays. I wanted to, win the $30,000-$40,000 parlay, trying to, put $5 on it and make it, win or whatever. And that's really difficult to do, So for me, it started early, and I was able to get a lot of that out of the way and kind of learn along the way. And then once FanDuel and MGM and everything hit, I guess this was October, November of 2020 maybe, or 2021. I can't remember. That's when everything just kind of exploded. And it's just a lot, with those sites, obviously you guys betting on there as well. There's a lot of different things that you can bet on, a lot of different options.
So what was it, like when did it, I mean, that's when it took off. Was there a single win you had, a single entry that you hit big that, I mean, Murph said your Twitter blew up like over the last year. So what happened there?
So okay. Early on, I wasn't even like really trying to post or anything like that. So I was just betting. And I think the very first week that FanDuel started, I had put together, I was playing tickets. I was playing like $25 tickets. And I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm finna bet. I'm gonna go big. And so I bet $500 and I put it on a parlay. It was a 6-leg parlay. And I'll never forget it. First one that I ever won. It brought me $21,000, and I was waiting on Tom Brady on Monday night against the New York Giants, and Tom Brady needed 2 touchdown passes in order for me to win. Well, he had thrown one in the first half, and then he came out in the second half. He threw another, but they called it back. Well, they were up pretty good. They were up pretty good. So it was like, okay, he's not going to play anymore, whatever. And he played one last series, and he threw a touchdown pass on that very last series, and I won like that 21 grand. And I ran around the house going crazy, and my wife was like, "What the hell is wrong with you?" And I'm like, "I just won 21,000 like that."
Wow.
And so that was like when it's finally like set with me. So at that point, I'm playing kind of with house money a little bit. Obviously I withdrew a lot of it out, and I said, okay, well, I want to leave a little bit in there to kind of play along with. Kind of fast forward to like what he was talking about. So around December, I want to say, of this past year of 2021, I went on an incredible run. It was like literally, it did not matter. And you can ask Murph, it did not matter what I touched.
It was wild. I was following most of them.
It did not matter what I touched. It did not matter what I played. It was like literally I was winning. It was ridiculous. It was, yeah. And when I tell you I was like on a heater, I was on a heater. And I think over that time frame, I think it took within 3 weeks, I won a little bit over $500,000.
I mean, that's an incredible number. And what I love about it is, once you kind of hit, I feel like you got to a certain point, you started posting all your plays before, obviously before the tickets start.
Yeah.
So, you were kind of like everybody's.
Can we just stop? Why are we acting like what he just said was like, oh, okay, cool. My God, Jeff, I'm sorry. I interrupted you. I did.
Well, no, I wanted to give
500 grand in 3 weeks? 500 grand in 3 weeks.
I did it over a 3-week time.
I'm gonna, after this podcast, I'll give you my email address. We're gonna link up. I need to know everything you know. I don't know what that feels like. I win $100, and I think that I have literally struck gold. You're over here. I want to change it. Jeff,
you let him answer your question.
Jeff, cut it out. I'm just saying. You're over here. You're about to win $21,000, and you have Tom Brady going in the fourth quarter, and you're over here like, oh, they're going to take him out. If they take him out, it is what it is. The hell? I'm over here losing my mind if I'm you. That's why I guess you would actually win that money. I'm flipping my house upside down if I think if they call that touchdown back on me, I'm throwing my dog against the wall. Don't put that.
Jesus.
I am. That is. Just, but you're so calm and collected. You're just like, it is what it is. And then you get rewarded $500,000 in 3 weeks. Wow.
Yeah, it was definitely crazy. I want to say it was over. It was a little bit of everything. It was like it was college football. It was, because that's right there in that little funny time period where college football is still going on, NBA is still going on, NFL is, right there trying to end or whatever. And, like I said, I'll never forget it. I think that one night I ended up, if I'm not mistaken, that one night I hit a ticket for 100,000, and I was like, it was crazy. I'm like sitting there in awe. Like, I just freaking won 100K. Like, what the hell just happened? And then not even 30 minutes later that same night, I won another 80,000. And I was just like, holy crap. And so from then, it just, over the next 3 weeks, man, it was just like everything I touched. I called Murph and I said, hey, dude, look, I don't know what the hell is going on. I don't know what's but follow everything that I'm playing. Like, follow me. I was like, even if you don't follow me, just follow me in your mind. Like, do it. Just do it for the hell of it.
Fake fire.
Like,
I call that a fake fire. Just like you visualize and.
Well, Murph,
and
when were you going to let us in on all this money you have on the side?
Well, it wasn't. I don't think it was. Was it legal yet in Georgia? Like the FanDuel and.
It's still not in Georgia.
Yeah, I don't think it's.
No,
I don't.
Georgia, you still can't.
That's why. So, but I remember telling you guys about it because I remember I called you and I was like, dude, like we've been trying to figure out how to like grow our Twitter, and my boy just grew like 20,000 followers in like a matter of 2.5 weeks. But what I thought was cool was you were posting all your tickets before and like, hey, like anybody that wants to follow at your own risk, gamble responsibly. But like let's do this together. Let's kill the books, because those are the house that's who has all the money. So it's like, it was cool where it's like you almost built like a kind of a coalition, and then some of the other cappers that were on social media, betting guys kind of jumped on too, because a lot of those guys charge, per season or per month, if you want to get their like specific picks, right? I don't think a lot of people even know about that.
They do. They call them discourse or whatnot, and my thing is, I guess I say do it for the people. And that was one of the things that I always kind of like, abided by, like, hey, they have, FanDuel, MGM, whoever the case is, they've got way more money than we have collectively. So it's like, hey, I can't win it all myself. Let everybody win. And my thing is, it doesn't, if I can help somebody, I had so many DMs where people, they followed it, and, I've seen where they've won. I think like off of that big ticket that I won, they won, 15,000 here, 8,000 there, 6,000. And for me, don't get me wrong, it's really a good feeling to like win that amount of money, but just to be able to see somebody else do it, and then, to be able to see that you help them and they're happy, and, it's really, really helping them out for whatever situation they're in. It's just an amazing feeling.
You know what I know is going to happen for 100% certainty is all 4 of us are going to get off this and go to our wives and be like, babe, look, this guy JVandy won $500,000.
Hey, so
to
funny,
try to get
funny.
permission for what we're going.
So funny story about this. So with my wife, I made a deal with her, and I told her, I said, hey, look, I have a, once I pull it out and it makes it to my betting account, and then from my betting account, it makes it to the savings account, obviously I can't touch it anymore. Like, so, once it's in there, it's gone, but I have my betting account. And so she says, okay, that's fine. No big deal. Just, let's make a deal. I'm like, okay, what's the deal? All right. So if you win anything less than $5,000, I can get something, $300, $400, $500 or something. Okay, cool. If you win something over $10,000, then I just get whatever I want. And I'm like, okay. And so literally, like when I went on that crazy run, when I tell you she had stuff lined up already, like what she wanted, I was like, what the hell? And, For me though, it works out perfectly because she doesn't bother me. She doesn't say anything. She doesn't care. She's just like, I'm fine with it because I know
she's
you're not going
eating
to do
too.
anything
Well,
stupid.
you bring in $500,000. She doesn't care.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure my
Like-
wife would be the exact opposite. I mean, she'd be right on board, but I'm not getting that right now. I'm actually getting every Monday like, so how did we how much did we lose this weekend? That's pretty much how. And I kind of want to get into this. I'm sorry for the way I'm acting right now. I guess I did bad research. I was expecting you to say like, "Hey, man, I won $21,000. I actually won $50,000. You came up with $500,000. I gotta go change my britches."
Yeah.
But when it comes
And-
to you, when it comes to you betting, how much research are you putting into this, or is it luck of the draw?
Oh, no, it's definitely. I mean, all of it is like you said, luck of the draw.
Yeah, I'm
but,
sure. Yeah, to an extent.
Yeah, once the guys go out there once the guys go out there on the field, they're going to do whatever they're going to do anyway. But as far as research, oh man, I'm always researching. Like I'm always trying to figure out, if this were baseball, is the wind blowing today? What did this guy do against this pitcher the last time? Is this a lefty pitcher or this is a right pitcher? Like does this guy hit better against left-handers or so forth on. So even from a perspective of football, I look at it as, how does Saban coach against this coach? How does, Kirby, how does he play against this particular guy? Like, do they run the ball more? So it's just so many things kind of go into it. And the thing about it is over the course of like the season, it gets to be to where it's like so easy, especially like I say, with the NBA. It gets to be so easy because you already like, you're constantly watching it and the stats and like what these guys do and like what their strong points are and like what their weaknesses are, and you can kind of, I guess for a better lack of words, exploit it. So for me, research is a really big thing. I do use a app called Props Cash. It's really good. I think you pay like $69 for the course of the year, but it gives you like so much information as well. I think that's one thing also, because a lot of times, we try to just go and let me go to Google or let me try to figure this out. But a lot of times, if you have that information right there in front of you and you can kind of like go through and see, what does he do against this and so forth on, it helps, man. Like even figuring out it's like, for instance, like Major League Baseball right now, the New York Yankees and the Angels, they strike out and the Atlanta Braves, they strike out the most. So if you have a pitcher that's going against them, guess what? Take his strikeouts. So it's certain things like that you just kind of gotta. A lot of times you want to say, "Hey, I want to bet on this game tonight," but it's not necessarily about betting on the game. You want to bet on the best case scenario for your ticket, if that makes sense. What I'm saying.
Yeah, well, like we were joking around before the show, but I was also serious. I bet with my heart, and it always ends up biting me in the rear. And for example, this past weekend, Vandy, we had Vanderbilt playing Hawaii, and the talk was, "Oh, Vanderbilt, they're not good this year. It's at Hawaii," and I'm like, "Hawaii, group of 5, let's shock the world. Let's at least keep it close." So I was all in, and I was 50 points off. I mean, like 61-10 or whatever it was.
Yep. Yeah.
Just you're saying never bet with your heart, and that's something I need to teach myself.
And I tell everybody all the time, I say, hey, never bet with your heart because your heart will get you in trouble. Your heart has you thinking things that you probably shouldn't. One thing for me, so I'm a big, and Murph's not going to like this, I'm a big Denver Broncos fan. I'm a Bama fan. I'm a Boston Celtics fan.
Trifecta. If you were a Yankee fan, that'd be.
I know, right? I know,
well, he's not a Cowboy fan, so I'm okay.
Well,
That's okay.
You kind of got to understand this. When I was growing up, like here in Tennessee, like we didn't have, obviously still don't have a baseball team, but like we didn't have, Titans weren't here then, we didn't have a basketball team. So it was just like, I had to pick something, But for me, I never bet on my teams. The only time that I will bet on them is like if I'm doing like a player prop. When I went to, I actually went to Game 3 this past year of the NBA Finals, and I bet on that game, and I won at that game. I won at the game, and that's one of the few times, like if I'm going to bet, I'll bet player props like that. But for the most part, I never ever bet on my teams, like because it's so much in my mind. I want to say, oh man, Russell Wilson is going to do this. Oh man, Bryce Young is going to do this. But in realistically, like you could just be trying to tell yourself that because that's your team and that's what you want them to do, and that's not always the case. So I tell anybody, hey, stay away from your teams.
You almost can like convince yourself that something's going to happen that it doesn't, because I bet on the
Yeah.
Las Vegas Raiders every Sunday, and more times than not, it doesn't come through. But you know what? If I'm at a game, I will. There's nothing better to me when you got a little action, a little sweat, and you're at the event. That's like
I
one of
agree.
the
I agree.
best things.
What
I
do you
agree.
do you typically have more success with one particular sport or season?
I would probably say the NFL, only because I'm just more interested in NFL.
Yeah.
Um, I guess last year I really got a lot more into college football. I feel like the guys they play harder. One thing that I did like about college football, so I went to the national championship, and when I got to Indy, I'm getting on the betting app because it's legal there, and I'm like, wait a minute, Bryce Young passing yards, huh? And I'm looking and I'm like, what the hell? And so you're able to do player props on college players in the state of Indiana. So I'm like, oh wow, this is bananas. So I
Yeah,
really
you get
did.
that in Tennessee.
And so I reached out to someone about that, and I asked them, and they just basically said that it's just a state thing. They're not allowing it in the state, so therefore, it's not anything with FanDuel or MGM or something. It's a state
Hmm.
thing that they're just choosing not to do. But um, if they had player props, I would definitely be more involved in college.
So, do you think like are any of them more predictable than the other? Like, is it one sport? I mean, there's some things like for me, a novice, I'm thinking like, okay, yeah, Durant's going for 25, right? Duh. But that's probably me thinking with my heart too.
Right, right, right. Are you a Durant fan?
No, I actually can't stand Durant. I just wanted to use. I didn't.
You're
I'm
a
a Heat.
Miami Heat fan right
I'm a
here.
Heat fan, and if there is,
Oh, okay.
well, listen, if there's a group of guys that you cannot predict what's going to happen, Jimmy Butler might go for 60, and then he might just
Go for
not do
6.
anything at all and not even shoot. Bam Adebayo might have 27 rebounds, and then he might just have
Right,
2 and
right.
2 the next night. So, but yeah, no, I can't stand Durant. But he
Well,
can
hey,
score. So
So you mentioned earlier, like, so when you're on FanDuel, for example, and you mentioned about how you can bet on anything, and there's just so many options to bet on. It can be overwhelming. I know it is for me sometimes. So like when you're going through there and looking at these bets and stuff to bet on, are you kind of like, are you staying away more from are you staying away from the spreads and the over unders and things like that? Are you focusing more on the player props and the situations like for each game?
And Murph can vouch for you on this one. So I like overs. I hate unders. My whole outlook on that is they can come out and let's just say that the over is 40 points for the sake of talking. They can come out and drop 30 in the first half, and then you're sitting there sweating like, oh my gosh, please don't score 10 points in the second half. Please don't score. But if you have the over, guess what? They can freaking score 70 and you don't really give a damn. So for me, I'm just like, if I feel like I need to take the under, I just stay away from the game. Um, as far as spreads, I hate them. I don't do spreads. I don't like spreads. I stay away from them because at the end of the day, my thing is I freaking saw the Washington Nationals last weekend, I believe. They freaking traded, well, 2 weeks ago, they traded everybody that they had on their team away. And then they turn around and the San Diego Padres that has a freaking lineup like the Dodgers, they beat them 3 out of 4 games. And I'm like, so it's just unpredictable about like what these teams are going to do just because they got like all these great players. So I personally stay away from spreads. Now, if you got something that's kind of like running, like I think, for example, like the Baltimore Ravens, they've got what, a 22, 23 game preseason streak going? No, hell no, bet them. I think even the other night, I think the spread was like 2.5, and they freaking didn't even cover it. It was a 2 point. You know, they ended up winning about 2 points. So it's just, spread. If you're going to do the spread, I always say buy it down a little bit, give yourself a little bit of cushion, because a lot of times, man, these books, they know what the hell they're doing when they create those spreads.
I have so many things to say. First off, this has been so much fun, and I have so many questions and so many things I want to say. Let's start with point A. Point A being, as a guy who is terrible at gambling, when I win like $250 or $300, I think that I'll conquer the world. So, but
as you should.
Saying that, saying that, you're over here saying why would I bet the over? I thought you were going to say something, and me as the inexperienced gambler, I like betting the over because I would rather cheer for somebody scoring than be sweating and hoping the defense comes through and makes it to stop. Right? I was like,
that is what he said. You know, right? He only takes the over. He doesn't take the
under.
under.
No. But his reason was
okay.
He was saying that you have a better chance of it going. I don't know if I butchered that. I'm sorry. I just really enjoy watching the offense.
Right.
I would rather be third
right.
and long. Like, okay, well, I hope they get first down instead. I hope they get a stop.
Yeah.
Secondly, another reason I'm really bad at gambling, you're saying stay away from the spreads. I mainly bet spreads. When I do my like college parlays and stuff, which I'll be doing, probably looking at tomorrow. I mean, I do a lot of money lines too. If I'm doing a parlay or something like that, I want to do money lines if I think it's for sure win. But gosh bless, I don't know how Vegas does it, but you'll have, this is an example. We use Tennessee all the time. They'll have Tennessee Volunteers minus 35 points over Bowling Green, and Bowling Green will lose by like 34 or something, or they'll lose by 36. It's amazing how Vegas is always so tight. I'm going to ask, with your expertise in betting, how do they do that? How do you think they do that? How do they know?
It's a predictor. You know, they do it like they take a simulation, and basically they take a simulator, and from the simulator, they kind of like basically simulate the game, and they say, okay, based off of this team, the guys that they have on this team versus the people on this team, you know, this is where it's going to come out at. And most of the time, they're probably spot on, but you're going to have those times or two where they're like way off. And for me, one thing that I have learned, it helps me out in college football. And I like to pass this nugget along to anybody. Running the spread and you kind of follow me when I say this, running the spread for the entire game is difficult. Only because, let's just say, for example, we'll use Alabama. Alabama is playing, I don't know, let's just, for the hell of it, I don't know.
Utah State.
Utah State.
Yeah, they are.
This weekend. Yeah. So they're playing Utah State this weekend. They're going to come out and they're going to put their foot on the pedal the first half. In the second half, if they're up at halftime 42-6, they're not probably going to score that much in the second half. So for me, I like taking this. If you're going to do the spread, take the spread in the first half spread. Or if you're going to take points for as an over or whatever, most of the time the over for like the halves are like 28 points, 29 points, maybe 32 points or something. You take this, you take the total points for the game. So for me, if I'm taking the total points for the game, I have both teams that are scoring. If they give me 7 points, that's fine. But I know Bama is going to give me 28. They're going to score 4 touchdowns on them in the first half. You've covered the over already in the first half, because those guys are going to play hard that first half of the game. First quarters are also good, especially like when you have two high-profile teams playing against each other. I think like what Ohio State and Notre Dame are playing this weekend. I think the first quarter will probably come in around 10.5, 10.5, because they're going to try to make you say, okay, score 2 touchdowns versus just score a touchdown and a field goal. That'll happen easily. Just because those guys are pumped up, they're ready to come out, they're ready to play. Something's going to happen.
Is that Ohio State's going to be up on Notre Dame 10.5 or the overall score? No, I'm serious.
No,
you saying just the over?
Yeah, just the over. Like, I'm looking at the
gotcha.
over. Yeah. They'll normally, like, the first quarter, they'll have something like, 10.5 over total points for, both teams or whatever. So a lot of times when people are betting college, like something, like I said, this worked for me. Because I did pretty good, with college last year as well. Those first quarters, those first halves, they work a whole lot better than trying to do the course of the game. Because like I said, they're a really good team. They're going to back off in the second half, and that really bad team, they're trying to play hard just to say, hey, I scored 21 points on Bama. I scored 28 points on Tennessee. You know what I mean?
Let me ask you my last question, Jeff, Tip, Sprouse, and y'all can have them. for the inexperienced or rookie gamblers out there, what would you recommend? Betting $10 to $20 parlays, like 4-leg parlays, and hoping you hit that $450 payout, or take it game by game for like $50 max bets?
Okay, so the correct answer here is take it game by game and make you just a one-team bet. That is the correct way to gamble. Um, and when I say the correct way to gamble, you have a 50-50 chance of winning or losing. You look at it this way: if you bet $50 on a game that's plus 100, you're going to win your $50 back. Um, and you just got to build over time. For me, I was lucky enough to hit a parlay in my first week, which kind of like put me up a little bit. And then from that point, I could play a little bit harder, a little bit more aggressive, I guess is what I'm saying. So I try to tell everybody, like, when they're playing, a lot of people. So, man, I've got one of the cappers that I look up, like, he's taught me so much. His name is El Captain. He goes by that on Twitter. He's probably got 40,000 followers or whatever. And I learned so much from him because, as good as I thought that I was, there was still a lot that I didn't know. And, I've learned so much from him. And a lot of times, when you're betting that one thing, it's a whole lot, less stressful. And it's more realistic. You're waiting on one thing versus a parlay. Because this is the thing. You got a 14 parlay. Bama comes out, they blow them out by 50. LSU comes out, they blow them out by 60. Freaking I don't know, Tennessee comes out, wins by 30, they cover. Now you're waiting on the late game, the Ohio State game, and they freaking come out on national TV and they win by 7 points, and they're trying to cover a spread of 21. So it's just like, if that one team has a bad game, your parlay is screwed, And I tell anybody, it's supposed to go by a unit system. That's what most cappers tell everybody to go by, a unit system. So a unit system, I don't know if you're very familiar with that or not, but you just pick. So say, for instance, you create yourself a bankroll. So let's just say your bankroll is $100 for the sake of talking. Like, that's what I have to bet with. That's what I have to lose this week or whatever, or today. And out of your bankroll, you're supposed to bet, most people say 1% of your bankroll. So that would just put in $1, for whatever parlay or whatever ticket that you're going to bet. And then, from there, obviously, you just build off of this. Because if you're going to make multiple bets, some people can't withstand making 10 $50 bets in a day, or 10 $200 bets in a day. You know what I mean? So you've got to find out, like, what's comfortable for you and what's best for you. One thing that I will say, though, is what a lot of us do. Hell, I do it. I still do it sometimes because when I'm pissed off. Hell, I did it the other night. I think
Angry
when I was
bet.
yeah. When you start like, if you lose early in the day and then you start chasing, like, that is the worst thing in the world to do. You do not chase. Like, literally, I was talking to Murphy the other night, and I was like, dude, today was terrible. Like, I think I had lost about $5,000, I believe, betting on baseball, and I was just like, I played a final ticket. I didn't even send it to Murph. And then, like, the next day, he was like, dude, like, what about yesterday? I was like, yeah, man, my last ticket last night, I got angry and just bet, and I ended up winning $13K. He was like, what? I was like, yeah, I don't know. I was like, I
Didn't
salvaged the
send
day
that one to
somehow.
me. I missed that one.
I said,
Don't angry bet, because you'll win money.
Hey, I told him, I was like, man, I said I was gonna send it to you. I had lost all day, and I was just like, no,
It was a rough one.
It was very rough. So, but
God, I lost $5,000. I'd be homeless.
Yeah.
It's all relative, though. I mean, they say, like, don't bet what you don't bet what you can't lose. That's like the biggest thing, right? Is figure out
that is the biggest thing.
What's your bankroll, you can afford to play with and have a little fun, and then hopefully you can build it from there.
And that's one of the go say. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good. I finished what you were going to say. I had another question.
I was going to say, and that's one of the biggest things that I try to tell anybody. A win is a win. I don't care if it's and sometimes I'm hesitant to, like, post my tickets and stuff because, again, like, my unit is not the same as the next person's unit. Like, if I bet on a ticket, my tickets are going to be $750. or 5. Like, yeah, like that's going to be my ticket at least at minimum. So I tell anybody like, hey, don't try to follow. Like, I know you probably think, oh, he really likes that ticket. No, if I really like that ticket, it's probably going to be $2,000 or something like that. So, I try to tell anybody, man, look, just follow what's good for you, and over time, you'll build your bankroll, and then next thing you know, you're no longer betting 10 and 15 and 20. Now you're betting 50 and 60 and 70, and next thing you know, you're betting 100 and 150, and then it's coming in. So that's the way I kind of built mine over time.
I was gonna ask you real quick, like college football specific. Do you think that these simulations are tougher for Vegas to do in, say, week 1, or even at the end of the season when it comes to bowl season, bowl games and stuff like that? Because when I do bet, I'll sit there in bowl games, which are never very predictable. But do you think
Mm-hmm.
that has something to do with it? And even week 1, where like they hadn't really seen anybody play, like talk about that Ohio State Notre Dame. I mean, that line for 2 supposed top 5 teams is they think Ohio State's going to whip them. So you think it's more
Man,
difficult than that?
I 1000% agree. I tell everybody the first week of the season is when you're going to win your money. Like, that is like the biggest, like, yeah, that's the best time to bet. That's the best time to be aggressive in bet. If you want to be aggressive on that side or whatnot. Week 1 is always much easier because, like you said, they don't really know where to set the lines. They haven't seen this team play. They haven't seen the new guys come, that are there. They haven't seen the old guys, how they're going to perform, any of that. I twisted just a little bit from college, and I'm just going to say for NFL, because they don't have player props in college, but for NFL they have player props. So you have a guy that's coming out there. Let's say, for instance, they got him set to get, I don't know, 4.5 receptions. Well, for a fact, Hunter Renfro is going to go out there and have more than 4.5 receptions week 1. You know what I mean? So for situations like that, they don't know where to set the line. I remember last year they had Derrick Henry week 1, and he was at like 72 rushing yards. I was like, holy crap, I can't take this fast enough. I'm like, so it's just, and then every week after that, he was at like 110 plus, you know. So
They lost their
yeah,
ass.
yeah. So week 1 is definitely the week to, be a little aggressive, bet on what you want to bet on, and win some money. Like, we're gonna smack this weekend in college football. I'm very excited. I've been working on some stuff all week or whatever, that especially tomorrow night. So for me, I like the big teams or whatever, Alabama, LSU, and all them. But honestly, man, I like these small schools that play like on Tuesday nights and Thursday
That's what
nights
I'm
and
talking
stuff.
about.
Oh man,
Take the over
Hey,
Tuesday night action.
hey,
You're one of us,
man,
man.
hey, Buffalo. Like, I like the small schools, man. Like, for me, the kids that go out there, they play so hard, and I don't know. Like, even the other day when I saw like New Mexico State playing and all that, and I'm like, okay, like last year. I'm gonna tell you somebody who really surprised me. Freaking UConn, man. I didn't know Mora was over there coaching.
Yeah.
I did not know he was over there coaching, and he has those boys looking a hell of a lot
Pretty
better.
good. Yeah.
And
They're going to
Utah
be a problem
State's
for a lot of people
yeah.
this year. UConn
Yep.
is.
Yeah,
Utah
definitely.
State's not a pushover. They were one of the top
They're
teams in the
not.
Mountain West last year.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
That. I mean, if you see somebody, following your moves on Twitter, but I put like $1 on it, that's probably me, because I'm in now. I think I'm smart enough now that I can, start winning a few bucks here and there. But that's all I got for you. Y'all got anything for JVandy? I think this was super informative.
I could probably go another hour just asking about every game for this weekend and get his thoughts. But
Hey,
like I said, I'll shoot
hey.
you my email and you send me all your information.
Hey, well, look, I'll tell you this, and you can ask Murph. I'm a very open guy. Like, I'm very humble when it comes to that. I really like helping everybody win, learn, whatever. I am available via text, telephone call, or whatever. You can reach me anytime. So Murph, you can share my number with them. Hell, you can put them in a group me. So I have a very
Don't do that, Murph.
I won't subject him to that pain.
Hey, I have a group. We have a group we set up. There's a very select few of people that are in there, and like they get my picks like immediately, because a lot of times, say for instance, like if I post, and I think I got right around 20 25,000 followers on Twitter. So if I post it on Twitter and 2,000 people play it and it was
Moves the
plus
lines.
900, yeah, it goes and it drops to plus 500, And so a lot of times I'll post it there first. Or, we'll talk there and it's more intimate and, hey, what is this? What is that? And I answer stuff on Twitter as well. But it's just, have a little bit more access to me, I guess, per se. And I'm always open and ready to talk about sports.
I love it. Well, before we let you go, if you want to tell the world listeners where they can find you on Twitter if they do want to follow along and see what you're playing.
Man, Vanderbilt 34, JVandy, I guess, of course. Yeah, you guys can find me there. I am on Instagram, but I don't really do a lot of stuff on Instagram when it comes to the betting aspect. I mainly just focus towards Twitter. But yeah, definitely give me a follow. I'll definitely be putting a lot of content out there. College football, NBA, NFL. I hate baseball, but I bet it anyway.
Is there any sport you don't bet? Like, do you go with UFC? Do you bet on knockouts and all that stuff?
I do. So funny story. So, and I kid you not, funny story. I don't know if I posted on Twitter or not, but it was a UFC fight. I guess it was about. I have absolutely no idea who it is. I hate UFC. I don't watch it. I'm just like, okay, I'm out there, and it was like a dead period. Like I don't know what the hell was going on. Like it was no basketball. I think NBA was transitioning, and I hate baseball again. And so, but why am I losing $5,000? I don't know. I play it, whatever. So I'm betting on UFC, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, So I literally go in there, and I look at this guy's profile, and I see that he's been averaging, like, knocking these people out in, like, the third round. So I'm like, okay, what's the odds of me putting some money on here and him knocking the guy out in the second round or the third round? If I play the second round and I win the third round, that means I hedge my bet plus I won. So I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna just put some on the second round. I'm put a little less on the third round. I mean, I'm sorry, a little more on the third round. I freaking won. He knocked the guy out in the third round, like,
wow.
And he knocked him out. I think it was about 10 or 11 seconds left. So mind you, I'm acting like you now. I'm sitting here freaking kicking at the TV. Knock the freaking dude out. Like, get this shit over. Like, come on. And like when he knocked him out, referee called it. I'm jumping up and down in the bed like a little kid or whatever. And like I freaking won like $15,000 off of it.
Man.
And I'm sitting there and I'm like, what the hell? And I'm just, so yeah, man, it's fun, man. I really enjoy it.
You're gonna start seeing a lot more likes on your Twitter. It's gonna be swagber.
Do you think? Sorry, do you bet like WNBA or women's basketball? I always, at least I used to always think women's basketball was so much more predictable than men's, just because, the good teams were so much better than the not as good teams. But maybe it's not the case anymore.
I dabbled in the WNBA, but a lot of the sports books, they took it away. And then they're recently, they're just now putting it back on there. Oh, that's one other thing I want to say also. Now, I'll come back to that. One thing I do want to say is this, and I tell this to anybody. Don't just be on FanDuel. Don't just get on MGM. Like, get on FanDuel, MGM, Barstool, any of the platforms that you have available. And the reason I say that is because it's kind of like going to a grocery store. If you go to Publix, guess what? It's going to be a little bit higher than what Kroger is going to be. If you go to Kroger, it's going to be a little bit higher than what Walmart is going to be. And I say that to say you have to go shopping. Sometimes I use, for example, the other day, we were looking at a picture and he was 18.5 on MGM. And I went over to DraftKings, he was 17.5 on the outs. I took him over on DraftKings. I won the ticket because he ended with 18 outs. If I would have taken him over there on the first, what I normally play, MGM, I would have lost. So I tell people all the time, hey, shop, look at sometimes you can get the same ticket on FanDuel and put it on MGM, and it'll go from like plus 700 to plus 1,000, so a lot of times, and that's another, like, I love to stay in that plus 550 to plus 700, plus 800 range. I feel like once you start getting outside of that, I call those lottos. You get a plus 1,000, plus 1,500, plus 2,000. They're just harder to hit because it's kind of, starting to get unrealistic.
Kind of like that NASCAR ticket that was like plus 800 million, and the guy put
like a
quarter on it and won.
Yeah, the dude he put $13 and I believe 47 cents on it. And mind you, it was a free bet. So it wasn't even his money, it was just
Unreal.
a free bet that he had. And he won like 999,000, like basically $1,000,000. And I was like, man, that's freaking
And I
awesome.
can't hit a plus 150
Why can't
ticket.
this stuff happen to me? Yeah. Jeez.
Hey, well, I tell you what, I tell you guys what. I don't, Murph, you need to make sure that you get them the tickets for week 1 of college
I'll
football,
get it. I'll
and
relay to our group me.
especially NFL. And I've said this over and over and over again. Week 1 of NFL, I I promise you, like it's hard to guarantee anything, but for me, my plan is to win at least 250K week 1
Oh, well,
NFL.
I'm in.
Let's do it.
So
Twin
I'm
it
in.
together.
Yeah.
I'm telling everybody, like week 1 is like college football is going to be a really good week. Week 1 NFL is a really good week. You know,
That's what-
always it's any sport, man. NBA really good week. Week 1. It's always the best time to bet, man, to be aggressive.
Awesome.
Joff, we appreciate it, my man. Appreciate you
Yeah.
coming
Man.
on and dropping some knowledge for everybody.
Man, thank you guys for having me. I really do appreciate it. And like I said, hey, I'm an open book, man. Just reach out to me, let me know.
Can't wait to go talk to my wife.
Yeah. And yeah, you guys
Hey.
make sure you follow JVandy on Twitter to get in line on these things.
Yeah, we're gonna win some money together.
That's right.
Everybody together.
It's us against
That's
the books. Break the books.
It's us against the books. Us against the books.
That's right. And then, hey, also, guys, if you enjoyed this show or any of our shows, make sure you hit like and subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and then follow us as well at Group of Five Guys on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Boone, North Carolina. We'll see you in a couple days.